I always say pitching and defense wins championships and wins games in general. But the Blue Jays lose this one 5-2 to the Chicago White Sox and lose the series and now drop to 31-29 on the year, only 2 games above 500. And the story of this ball game, as much as there is 9 innings to play in a baseball game, the first inning seemed to be the real deciding factor in this one for the Toronto Blue Jays, as Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left field looked like he was in a circus. I do the da-da-da-da-da-da-da because that's what it looked like out there as Gurriel gets a fly ball hit to him and he starts turning and turning and turning back and forth, and it ends up going over his head as he leaps for it like it was like that. I'm like, man, that's just ugly, man. That's just stuff that you see kids do when they're trying to track a fly ball. It goes over his head. And a couple batters later, Jose Abreu rips an RBI double down the right field line. Mercedes comes in to score, and it makes it a 1-0 game. So instantly, that out comes back to haunt you because there were 2 out at the time. You get that out there. At the very worst, you would have had a 2-out double from Abreu, but instead, it's a 1-0 game. Then, Yasmani Grandal comes up, and he hits a 2-run shot. It's 3-0. You could have been out of the inning, a fly ball that should have been caught. But instead, you're down 3-0 in the first inning to one of the best pitching teams in all of baseball. Just not where you want to be sitting early on in this game. And the Jays get absolutely no offense going against Dallas Keuchel early on. It takes the top of the 5th inning with a nice two-out knock from Marcus Semien, cashing in Joe Panic to make it a 3-1 ball game. All right, they're right back in there. Runners in the corners, 2 out for Bo Bichette, and he can't get the job done to bring the Jays even closer. However, in the 6th inning, Vladdy gets a single. All right. And then a misplay by Yoan Moncada, thinks there's 2 out on the play. Meanwhile, there's only 1. Gets a ground ball hit to him at third. Should have turned the double play and ended the inning. Instead, he just fires it on to first. Vladdy ends up at second base. There's only 2 out now. Vladdy ends up stealing, well, it was on a ball in the dirt, and he ends up moving up to third base in the play. Then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is an RBI single through the left side. And that cashes Vladdy, making it a 3-2 game. Defense, not very good for Chicago there, making it a 3-2 game, right there for the Blue Jays. And in the top half of the 7th inning, the Blue Jays get a golden opportunity, right? I think Santiago Espinal leads off with a single, bringing up the top of the shot, Marcus Semien, and he hits into a ground ball double play. And in my opinion, that right there sealed the deal because you got your number 9 hitter on with nobody out for the top of the lineup, and you grounded a double play to erase any of that. And then in the bottom half of the 7th inning, Engel hits his first hit of the season, and it's a home run off of Anthony Castro to give them a 2-run lead. It's a 4-2 game. Then in the bottom half of the 8th inning off of Joel Payam's Jose Abreu is an RBI double. Tim Anderson comes in to score to make it a 5-2 ball game. And look, defense kills you, man. That first inning was 3 of the 5 runs they scored. And I always say you want to have your team, give your team an opportunity early in the ball game to kind of get their offense on a roll, but that didn't happen today. You were down 3-0 before, I think they went 3 down to start the first inning, but you didn't even get your team a chance in the top half of the 2nd inning with a tie ball game at all. And I always say how you get those first 3 innings, maybe the first time through the order, if you can put up some zeros with this Blue Jay offense, they'll find a way to make something happen. Now, I'm not really all that mad about this series for a few reasons. Number 1, we all have to admit the at-bats the Blue Jays had in the series, they were very good. They were very good. A lot of eating up pitches. You saw how Lance Lynn didn't go very well. He didn't go very long. And Carlos Rodon's pitch count, he was over 100 pitches through 5 innings. They were working him hard. Didn't cash any runs in, but they were working him hard. And you know what? Against a really good team like Chicago, I think the offense, even though they didn't score a lot of runs in the series, had a lot of great at-bats. It was just some costly errors and some timely hits by the White Sox. Look, the Jays had their timely stuff yesterday. The White Sox had their timely hits today and in Game 1. I mean, it's just the way it happens. You got to play clean baseball if you want to go far in the playoffs, for that matter, or even get to the playoffs, because as you've seen in this series specifically, whichever team plays the crappier defense usually gets beaten up pretty bad. Because the Jays, on their big error, the Moncada mistake was more of a mental mistake, but a couple batters later, it turned into a run. And the Gurriel error in the first, a few batters later, it turned into a 3-0 lead. You give great offenses extra outs, they will find a way to kill you. And it's just unfortunate that that first inning was a 3-run inning in the very first inning. I mean, it's tough to watch where you didn't have it early on. After that first inning, he absolutely dialed in and was fantastic over the next 5. But the first inning killed you. Against great teams, the margin for error is so slim. And costly errors, costly mistakes for the Toronto Blue Jays today in the finale of this series. And against the Boston Red Sox, you cannot be doing that. And that is the next contest for this team. You head to Fenway to take on the Red Sox. You have to play good defense there. Because that team, especially what they've shown tonight against the Astros, that team can hit. I've always said it. They're not a great pitching ball club, and you've seen that in the series against the Astros. They're not a very good pitching ball club. You'll get your fair share of hits, your fair share of runs, but you got to play defense, and you got to find a way to get outs. You know, your offense should be okay, but if you don't pitch well enough against the Red Sox, they will beat you down. And the Jays saw that firsthand last time they played the Red Sox, right? And let's get through the stats here real quick before we preview Game 1 of that series tomorrow night. Ryu, as I mentioned, pitched a great game after the first, went 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, and walked the batter. I mean, he was great. You know, didn't really get any damage after that first inning, right? He had a double against Abreu, the double of Mercedes, the homer off of Grandal. That's 3 of the 5 hits in that first inning. So you look at it now, over the 5 innings after that, he allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts, no runs. He was fantastic in the 5 after that, but you were already down 3-0. And Anthony Castro came in, 1 hit, 1 run, and a strikeout, the home run from Adam Engel. And it was his first hit of the year, of course. And then Joel Payamps, look, you're already down 4-2. You don't need any high leverage guys. You just need to get him out there. And he allowed, allowed 1 hit, walked the batter. The walk came around to score. I think it was Tim Anderson. And he got a couple strikeouts, but again, couldn't put up any zeros. And the only really offensive guy who popped out to me today, the only multi-hit guy today was Joe Panik, who has been continuously doing a fantastic job without Kevin Biggio in the lineup. He went 2 for 3 today with a run scored, and he walked once as well. The Jays had a total of 8 hits in the ballgame. They haven't hit the White Sox 8-7, but it was the timely hits by the White Sox that got the job done today. All right? Now, let's move on. The series is done. It is what it is. Game 1 of the series against the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. Game 1 goes tomorrow night. It's Ross Stripling versus Garrett Richards. Now, we talked about in the last video how, okay, the Astros are a very big test. Let's see how Stripling does. He was great then. But I think now you got that extra test, all right? Not only do you have the Boston Red Sox, but you have the Boston Red Sox in their home park at Fenway. The Green Monster, the short porch there in right field. Obviously, center field is a death for anybody trying to hit. But left field, you get the Green Monster, you hit a fly ball, the thing's either going off it or it's leaving the yard. And right field, you can hit a line drive and it can be gone. So for Stripling, it's going to be a really tough test tomorrow. Garrett Richards, the Jays have seen, I think, 2 different sides of Garrett Richards. The awful Garrett Richards in the first time we saw him. I think he was much better in his second time around. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, though, tomorrow. 7:10 first pitch there at Fenway, as the Blue Jays look to get back into the win column and start off this weekend set on the right note, because you want to get off onto the good note, especially against a divisional opponent. You know, I've always said it. If you can find a way to do well against your divisional teams, you'll do just fine. You might, losing 2 out of 3 to the White Sox, losing 2 out of 3 to the Astros, as the Jays just did, that's not the end-all and be-all. But if you go into Boston, I think it might be a 4-gamer. I could be wrong with that. It might be a 3-game. Let's say it's a 3-game set. If it's a 4-game set, so be it. If they win 2 of 3, or if it's a 4-gamer and they win 3 of 4 against your divisional opponent, that does so much, not only for your confidence, but for the standings and down the stretch when you end up tied with a team and you say, oh, wow, our season series against this team is really good. That's why we're ahead of them. It's so important down the road to do well against the divisional opponents, especially when it's a team you're trying to catch in the standings. All right, so you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video and you're a Jays fan and did not enjoy the game today, but if you're a White Sox and you love the game today, smack the like button. Do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already, guys. Comment down below thoughts on the video, your thoughts on the game. What you like, what you not like from today's game today. What do you think of Ryu? Do you agree with me in the whole Gurriel situation that ball has to get caught? And that was really a turning point in the game. That's my take on it. Maybe you have a different thought. Let me know. What do you think of the bullpen? What do you think of the bats today? Let me know in the comments. Twitter's down below for myself. Follow up, send me a DM. Do all that great stuff. And Instagram link is down below as well. So follow up there if you have not done so already. And I will talk to you guys. Jays Edition, obviously, like we talked about, is game 1 of the series against the Boston Red Sox starting tomorrow night at Fenway Park. 7:10 first pitch there. Ross Stripling, Garrett Richards. is the pitching matchup. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you guys then.